Hi, my name is Rachelle, and I am honored to get to share with you guys on posture this weekend. How we're coming in. What can you expect? And to start off, I just want to show you my home, actually. This is a really unique retreat, and here I am on my couch recording this talk. And I think that getting to see someone's home is kind of like getting to see into who they are a little bit more. So we're in the middle of a remodel. I'm going to show you a picture, a little glimpse of my kitchen. There is my kitchen, and no drywall. We just installed a brand new sink into plywood countertops the other day. And the Lord has just been, we've been laughing about the parallels of remodeling and life. And it's just funny, living in a constant state of dysfunction and tools everywhere, and all hinging on the hope that someday we will see the glory of a finished home. And this is our second remodel, and so we've done this before. And I know that it's worth it. And still, we get to these points where I'm like, gosh, I'm just ready to not have something else to think about that's like over the next hill. And so that's where we are. We have plywood counters and a brand new sink. And I don't know if you know much about plywood, but you can't really wipe it. So that makes for a really fun cleaning experience with our vacuum. And this is just part of my life. It's what has kind of been part of the buildup of 2020, is being in this flux of a remodel. And so if I'm honest, I've had a really hard time being honest. I'm on the tail end of a season of a lot of loss. And I know that that's not unique. I know 2020 held a lot of loss for a lot of people, and probably the people on this call. Lost jobs, travel plans, which seem petty, but really hold a lot of weight still. Lost family members. I have just lost my church of 15 years. I have decided to step away, and it's like grieving a death. I sat with my sister as she lost her baby at 16 weeks gestation, baby boy. And it's not my loss, but it is my loss. If anyone's loss is mine, it's her loss. And so it takes a toll. And I've been thinking about the winter solstice that we just passed, December. And solstice is when we start gaining hours of sunlight. And I just want that shift. I want that shift of gain instead of loss. And so that's really my if I'm honest statement, is I'm ready to be gaining instead of losing. And my husband and I, we're trying to get pregnant, and we have a 2-year-old little girl named Eleanor. We call her Lenny. And infertility is part of our story. And so we found out that we were pregnant with her 3 years into the adoption process and 8 years into our fertility journey. And I just never thought that I would see that positive pregnancy test. And there it was. And so now to be revisiting the trauma, really, because if you've been through infertility, there's some trauma and grief, and you're in it every month. Every month is grieving. And so coming back around to a desert season that I have come out on the other side of victorious in being pregnant, it's like this weird twisted trauma that's really hard to make sense of. And so it's less acute this time around, because I do have a daughter, and I know, like, okay, I'm a parent, I'm a mom, which is something I've always wanted. And here we are again. And sometimes ripping open an old wound is even more painful. So this is how I come into the weekend. I'm holding all of these things and staring at them really hard. Church, my sister's loss, or my desire for a baby. And I think the invitation this weekend is to bring these things fully into his presence and then look at him. And so these don't go anywhere. And sadly, I know that he can fix. He can come in and fix. But if you're searching for the answers to your questions more than you're searching for him, I think I'll be disappointed if all I want are answers. And he has this thing he likes to pull where your hands are really full. And this is, you're coming with the things that you want to talk about. So this is me this weekend. These are all the things. And he peers around it and goes, yeah, but what about that thing back there? And so I'm like, wait, like this though. And what I'm learning is that where he wants to go and the thing that he wants to talk about is really the best thing, even if it's somewhere I'm not expecting. And so maybe this is like a invitation to the unknown with him too, to it being a little bit of a mystery. And the thing that I love about him, about the Father, is that his gifts are always good. And so we are being invited into encountering him face to face today, even in your living room, because you host the Holy Spirit. And so he can meet you exactly where you are, whether you're alone, whether you're in a group of girls. He's coming for us, each of us. And I think he's coming with a surprise. I get this picture I do this thing with Lenny where I hold a little treat in my hand and I'll go, guess what? And she goes, what? And she knows what it is because we've done this a lot. And she knows that I have something really good. There's no doubt in her mind that what I'm holding is really good. So I think part of this weekend is bringing this fully into his presence and handing it over, which is really hard to do when you've been holding something. It becomes a comfort. I think we get used to the weight. I get used to the weight. And so letting it go and releasing it to him is scary. And we can trust him. We can trust that what he's holding, the beauty for ashes, right? What he's holding and wants to give is really good. And emptying our hands of what we came in with doesn't make it go away, but it leaves room. Emptying our hands leaves room for taking what he has, saying yes to what he has. And that's where the exchange comes in. This weekend is about encounter and exchange. So the beauty for ashes, trusting that he always has something better. A big time that exchange happens is during worship, because it gets our eyes off of ourselves and onto him. And that's what I'm asking for this weekend for me is, God, can I just stop? I'm just fatigued. I'm really tired of looking at my stuff. And for some of us, it might be that you can't look at the stuff. And I think I've been there too in this season of loss and weird. It's been about 2 really solid months of hard. And sometimes what I've done instead of staring at it is looking off in another direction. And I think he's patient and kind with that. He's not going to force you to look at it. And he's not going to force you to look at him either. I think it's a really gentle offer. He's a gentleman. And he's just saying, hey, will you just look at me? And when I think about worship, I've been thinking about the woman at Jesus' feet in Luke 7. And she brings her jar of perfume. That's all that she has. And she walks into the room with men who at that time, entering a room full of men where I'm not invited, pretty intimidating. And she lays it all out. And she gets down at his feet. And she pours out everything that she has. And she wipes his feet with her hair. And it's just this picture of extravagant worship and meeting him and letting him meet you. I think about the intimacy of that moment and her being at his feet. And one, she's touching him. So there's that piece. But I just picture them locking eyes. And that's so what I want. That's what I want. I'm tired of looking at my stuff. And I see a lot of parallels too with the potential blocks that we have for worship, especially this weekend. There were some roadblocks to her worship. One, she wasn't invited. And she came. She came anyway because she heard that he was there. And she knew. It's something, she just knew that that's where she needed to be. And I think that's for some of us. We know that he's here. And it's not that he's not everywhere normally, but there's a concentrated moment that we have to take hold of here. And she knew that that was her moment, and she took it. And she chose to violate the social order and step into a place where she was not invited. Another block, she had a past. She had stuff. And they call her the sinful woman. And the Pharisee draws attention quietly or out loud, I'm not really sure, but to her past. And you've got to know that she knows that they know. And so she's laying it all out there in worship of him, a bawling mess. And I don't really have a problem crying in worship and having people see me, but I know that a lot of people do. But she leaves it all out there. And with all of these hurdles, and Jesus in front of these religious men fully accepts her and praises what she's doing and uses it as example of extravagant worship and love. And so some potential blocks for us, because this is a virtual retreat, and I think that the blocks are even more screens. Worshiping through a screen is just less intimate. If we're up at the ranch, you're immersed and involved, and you don't really have a choice. I mean, you still do have a choice, but there's less of one. And so with you being in your own living room or in a friend's living room, it's going to be a little bit harder. And you have a choice to use this time to actually engage, or you can go refill your cup of coffee and leave your computer there or have a conversation. And I think it's a choice. Some helpful suggestions would be turn up the volume, close your eyes, pretend that you're in a room full of people. And my hope and prayer is that my posture will be like this woman, not caring who's watching, because she couldn't have cared, right? And really, I'm just asking for him to change my desire into desiring him and not the answers to this stuff. Another thing that you could do, these are more suggestions, is move. Get on your knees or stand up, raise your hands. Sometimes our minds and our hearts and our spirits follow our bodies. And so if you make a move in the physical, I've noticed for myself that my spirit tends to be pulled along. And so that's a suggestion. Some things you might notice about our worship at Revel, if you've never been. One, it's longer than probably what you're used to. We believe that worship is the main event. It's literally what we were created to do. We were created to worship the Creator. And worship puts our stuff in its proper place. Again, our eyes on Him and not our stuff. It just puts it in its rightful place. Maverick City Music has this song called Remember, and it just says, this is our Savior. Look at Him. Look at Him. And I think that's what's being offered, is a full-on gaze into our Creator's eyes. Another thing about revel worship, it's repetitive. This is not because we don't know any more songs. Sometimes it's out of function so that we can all be singing the same songs because we come from different backgrounds. And a lot of times you don't need more words. We just need to believe the ones that we're singing. And so on the 5th time around of the chorus, maybe not, but on the 5th time, just hypothetical, and you're rolling your eyes going, come on, let's get on with it. I just encourage you to sink in and listen with fresh ears, and maybe He's trying to tell you something. Our worship is authentic. Authenticity is based on the truth and not on feelings. And so it's tempting to go, yeah, you be you, like worship however you'd like. And also, if your heart is not engaging, authenticity has a point of diminishing returns. And so change it. Even if you're not totally feeling it, try it. And it might just be what you need to just jar you out of the spot that you're in. Our worship is passionate. We're not all in the same room together, so you might not see this one quite as distinctly, but we're all over the place. You can move around. You can raise your hands. You can jump up and down. You can lay on the floor. You will see a lot of things in our worship. Again, we're not all together in the family room, but these are some things that are just distinct characteristics of Revel's worship. We've coined the term, "will never be out celebrated," and I love that. I think worship is a party, and so let's celebrate who He is. Yeah, and this is it, you guys. This is connection with His heart. And worship is to Him, but it's for us. And so let's do it this weekend. Let's actually choose. We have a choice. We can choose to engage fully. And I think He's going to honor it. And He wants to. We're the bride. We're the bride. We're like, it's funny, in this church season that I've been in, I have this new sharing in Jesus waiting for the bride. Like I feel like He said that to me, like, you're waiting like I'm waiting, because I'm waiting. I love the church. I love the bride. And I don't have church right now. I do. I have people, but and He's just waiting for us. And His desire is for us, and He's going to meet us. And so I'm just excited for my encounter with Him. I'm excited to put down my stuff and take hold of what He has. And I think that's the offer. Again, before we go, is guess what? And so I want my heart to fully be expectant and go, what? And just whatever it is, I know it's going to be good.